Hi everyone, welcome back to my series on films that came out in the year 1973, which is 40 years ago this year, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I turned 40 this year, so I thought it'd be a good idea to go back and look at some of those older films that I haven't checked out yet. I'm actually doing a couple of films that I've already seen first, just to sort of get them out of the way, and I've gotten a couple of recommendations from people, and if you have a particular 1973 film that you'd like me to take a look at, and do a video on, please leave me a recommendation in the comments. I'd appreciate that. I'm going to be doing The Holy Mountain by Alejandro Jodorowsky, which was recommended to me by one of my commenters last week, as well as, of course, Oscar-nominated selections. I've gone through IMDb to look up some of them. But, of course, this week I'm doing The Exorcist, which is directed by William Friedkin, and stars Burstyn, Jason Miller, and Max von Sydow. This is one of the defining horror movies of the horror genre, and it's no wonder. It's a fantastic picture. Very, very unsettling. I actually was speaking a couple nights ago with my aunt, who had a friend of hers show up at her door, quaking with fear, having just come from seeing the film in the theater and going, I don't want to go home. I'm scared to go home alone because I just saw this film. It's kind of effect it had on people. And I think what's strongest about this movie is that it takes the concept very, very seriously. There's no joking around about what's happening here. And I think that's really down to the directing by William Friedkin, of course the cast. Burstyn in particular is just really commits strongly to the confusion and terror that the character experiences. Her character is Chris MacNeil. She's a professional actress. She is in Washington, D.C., shooting a film at a local college campus. She's staying in a rented house, I believe, with her daughter, Regan, who's played by Blair, and her assistant, Sharon, who's played by Winn. I'm not really familiar with Kitty. I looked her up on IMDb. Didn't recognize many of her credits, but she's a very, very pretty lady. And she stopped acting around the mid-'80s or so, which is too bad. Now, this movie kind of reminded me, as I was watching it, of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And funny coincidence, they're both those movies are based on novels. The novel The Exorcist was written by William Peter Blatty, and both of these novels have two main characters that don't meet until about halfway through the picture, at least halfway through the picture. The other main character is played by Jason Miller, who died in 2001. He plays Reverend Damien Karras, and if you're interested in more Jason Miller films, I looked him up as well, and his last really notable film was Rudy. He was in the sports drama Rudy in 1993. Father Karras is a guy basically who works in one of the local parishes, and he helps out. He does what he can, but he's not having an easy time of it. He has, crisis of faith, and he has to deal with his Italian mother who doesn't want to leave her home, even though she needs, more care, that he can provide for her. So he's not having an easy time of it. Anyway, the two of them meet when Burstyn needs his help. She's having problems with her daughter Regan. Her daughter Regan is behaving very strangely and saying odd things and doing really, really strange things. And she seems to be having these physical symptoms of an ailment that no one seems to be able to identify. They think it's neurological at first, and that was what would cause convulsions in bed. But Burstyn, she's like, look, it wasn't muscle spasms, okay? The entire bed that she was on was shaking, everything like that. There's got to be some other explanation for it. What could it be? So after seeing 80-some psychiatrists, apparently she's, wealthy and famous enough to command all this attention. They suggest, look, it might be possible that if your daughter really does believe that she's been possessed by a demon, because there's this, she's speaking in a different voice and saying all kinds of nasty stuff, then it's possible that an exorcism will have an effect of convincing her that the demon is being pushed out of her body. But what these people don't really have a sense of yet, or really don't believe, is that she's actually possessed, which is the case. She's able to, the demon that's residing within the little girl is able to move furniture around and do all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, there's some pretty unsettling effects for the time there involving, you know, her face getting all messed up and her head turning around all the way, and her spewing large amounts of bile and other nasty stuff at people. So on Burstyn, she gets into contact with Father Karras, who in turn also recruits someone with a lot of experience, or at least some experience with exorcisms, because they haven't been performed for a very, very long time. And that character is played by Max von Sydow. He's playing Father Merrin. So the two of them, they team up to see if they can exorcise the demon that's residing in Regan. Like I said, this movie works because it takes the concept seriously. It doesn't joke around. There isn't a lot of humor directed at the audience. Sometimes they'll say funny things to lighten the mood within the scene, but it isn't like the humor isn't for the audience, it's for the characters themselves. So that makes it all the more real and all the more scary. Linda Blair is really good as the demon. Not as good as the daughter when she's not being possessed. Remember her first scene, she's complaining to her mom in the kitchen about getting a pony. I really, really want a pony, and the dialogue just didn't come off all that well. Maybe it was badly written, but I don't know, just wasn't played all that well. The rest of the acting is really good, though. Max von Sydow is someone who I've seen in a lot of films over the years. Recently, he was Oscar nominated for appearing in Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. He was mute in that. He didn't have any dialogue. But I've seen him in all kinds of things, from Dreamscape to Minority Report to What Dreams May Come, all kinds of films. Another actor in the movie is Lee J. Cobb, who plays a detective who's investigating the death of the film's director. Apparently, he was friends with Ellen Burstyn, the mother, and when he goes to check up on Regan, well, when she's apparently sick, he gets thrown out of a window and falls down some stairs and dies. But what the cops tell her is that his head was turned entirely around backwards, which shouldn't have been possible. The character of Kinderman's very, very strange. Presumably there's more of him in the book, but basically he's just there to explain stuff. He's a very expositional character. A strange little quirk of the character is that on at least 2 different occasions he talks with priests and invites him to like hang out at some point. Let's go to the movies. I have coupons to go to this movie theater. And both times the fathers say, well, I can't make it because I've seen what's already playing there or something like that. I'm just like, why does this guy keep inviting priests to go see a movie with him? There's something else going on there that I'm not aware of. Probably there's more material in the book. There's another actress that I really liked in the movie, Sharon, who is Ellen Burstyn's assistant, basically, a younger woman who's living with her and just helps her out with things, you know, as you know, famous actors and actresses tend to have personal assistants take care of business for them. She's played by Kitty Winn, who I'm not really familiar with, but she's a very pretty lady, and she seemed to stop acting around the mid-'80s, which is too bad. But yeah, some really, the music is pretty minimal in the film. There's the theme, the famous piano theme, or maybe I don't think it's a piano exactly, it's some sort of percussion instrument. You know, some sort of chime instrument. Maybe it's bells. I'm not really sure. I should have looked that up. But yeah, for the most part, the music is really kept to a minimum. There's a few ominous chords throughout, but it's shot in a very straightforward manner. And there's a lot of imagery that's actually pretty scary, even though it has nothing to do with horror movies, like 1970s X-ray machines were really, really frightening and intimidating looking. And some of the tests they do on Regan before they figure out that she really is demonically possessed are pretty scary all by themselves. Yeah, really, really good movie. Certainly a standout in the horror genre, and one that I certainly, you know, admired for a long time, though I haven't seen it, you know, in many years. I saw the extended version for the first time. I had never seen it before. With a couple extra scenes. I couldn't identify which scenes were extra of the ones that I didn't specifically remember seeing before. They were very well integrated into the movie. Of course, there's that infamous upside-down spider walk on a staircase that I've seen clips of many times before. And that was integrated well enough into the film, although it really didn't make any difference whether it was there or not. But yeah, just another unsettling effect. So yeah, very decent movie. I gotten a couple requests for other 1973 films to do, one of which was The Holy Mountain by Alejandro Jodorowsky. And I've seen that one before, so I'm going to check that one out one more time and review it for next week. If you've got another kind of recommendation for a film from 1973 you'd like me to make a video on, please leave me a comment, let me know, and I'll get to that when I can. I've got a whole list of films that I'm going to be looking at from that year, but I'll be taking it like 1 week at a time, so there's 50 chances to review 1973 movies over the course of this year. It's going to be kind of an open-ended series. So thank you very much, appreciate you watching, and see you next time.